My name is Lolo Puzzlo, and this is Media Delta. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Media Delta. Today, we are actually continuing on from our last episode, in which we talked about the 1985 TV series Sukeban Deka, which itself is based on a manga that started out in 1978 about a girl who is a Sukeban leader that is kind of being blackmailed into serving as a cop. That's kind of it. That's basically the entire gist of it. Is a former Sukeban leader is basically being like, she has to investigate, in particular, a lot of incidents that go around that happen around schools, and if she doesn't comply, her mother is on death row, and they will execute her. Basically, just do the execution, providing they, if she does not work with the police. If you want to hear more in depth on like kind of the origin stuff, you can listen to, probably should have listened to the previous one. We have been doing these episodes in order. This kind of the block of episodes that we are talking about this time are episodes 7 through 11, which it's just episodes 7 through 11. I don't have the names on here because there's actually kind of some information on this is a little more sparse than some other Toku series, but this is, we just continued on. And by we, I have other people who watch this with me. So please introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Axe, and oh my god, is that a Sakura medal?
Hi, I'm
It's
Carnival.
crested.
Shut up!
Hi, I'm Carnival, and behold the power of secret police to write off insurance claims.
Hi, I'm Torpid Typist and Sakura no Daimon.
Yes. So same crew as last time. But now that we've gotten out of like the intro little bits, we are now into kind of more of what you can expect from the series. So that was a little bit of a more interesting kind of take on this. Let's go ahead and get into the interviews. However, before we do that, I will request, because we are still kind of new to this kind of format, if the other people here could go ahead and mute themselves so that, or deafen, I forgot what the Discord terms, deafen, to determine what all is, or so that I can give my takes without spoiling their opinions, I guess. Anyway, my thoughts on this is like this bunch of episodes, like we've now kind of gone into the more esoteric plots of the show. A little bit not super fantastic, but getting into a little bit more sillier kind of cases, although one of them definitely I can think of was very much not so silly. And kind of you can get a difference in terms of the thing. There was an episode that was about the person. What was happening was that some girls that were around a modeling thing were getting murdered, and basically Saki was charged with kind of figuring out who was murdering them. And then it turns out that the person who was doing the murders basically was murdered some girls because one of them, he actually got pregnant, and the other ones he was just kind of screwing around, and didn't want them being like, no, kind of didn't want his knowledge, or like public knowledge, that he was kind of screwing around with the girls that he was working with. So that was a little bit more like heavier topic that I was kind of expecting from this. I know this definitely isn't a kid's show, and naturally the Japanese doesn't have a when it comes to profanity, they don't really have a lot of they definitely have some dirty words, but like they don't have like the level of profanity that English has. So it's funny seeing the subtitles being rather coarse for a show that I would imagine be shown on like regular TV. But it's just how the Japanese language works and how there really isn't. I think it might be more of the subtitler's kind of choice of language, but yeah, I think that that was a little bit of a weird thing. But from these episodes, a lot more interesting plots and kind of gets a better showing of what the show can do, and shows that it can be a pretty good show. Like it was definitely pretty entertaining. Is it like the best TV series I've seen? No, I think it was pretty good. And I don't really have much else to say than that. If I were to give myself just an off the cuff ranking, I was thinking kind of in the 8-9 range. It's a pretty good series. It definitely is. I can see where we mentioned last time that the author thought that Sukeban Deka 1 was a little bit more lighthearted. But I think that it didn't have the kind of the edge of the original series. And I can kind of see that. But I think that this is definitely serviceable. You could do a lot worse. With that, I'm thinking kind of 8-9 range. I thought it was perfectly fine. So let's bring in our Toku expert, our resident Toku expert, to talk about what they thought about Sukeban Deka. So, Carnival.
Oh,
Yeah, so we have continued going on for these next couple of episodes. And since you are kind of definitely the panelist here, you are more the one who is a Toku kind of expert, I guess. Just kind of, what were your thoughts on the episodes that we kind of checked out in this block?
again, we're seeing more iterations on the formula. Well done. Some of these crimes aren't as extravagant as some of the earlier ones, but it's like, look, you're gonna run for about 20 to 30 episodes. You can't just pull a giant crime every time. You gotta have some of the smaller scale stuff to make when things pop off be all the more important. Like that freaking triple murder that episode in the like I forget which one, but where the archery club one was probably the standout one.
Yeah,
That,
yeah, the archery one was kind of weird. And also, like, it's great because that one in particular, like, set up that there was going to be a girl who was like an equal to Saki until she got completely jobbed.
look, that would require hiring more actors for permanent basis.
Yes. You did also have that episode where it's actually one that I brought up in my little spiel. The one where the dude who was screwing around with the girls. That
Yes.
that was a weird one.
That was like, I'm not surprised they did it. That was going to be an episode inevitable with this premise, the show's premise. But wow, that was a bit darker than I was. It was never going to be like light and happy, but it's like, huh.
Yeah, I kind of wonder what like I don't know what like Japanese like TV rating standards were like whether or not like because I would imagine this would be well, I would imagine this wouldn't be like a watershed TV thing, so that
No.
it's not like shown at like late. So that was kind of more heavier than I was kind of expecting.
Yeah, it really was.
Um, so yeah, neat little couple episodes. Like I wouldn't say like any more than three. Do you have anything that you'd want to bring out from the ones that you saw?
I gotta say, just in general, the yo-yo tricks got a bit better. Still nothing too extravagant, but it's like, okay, now that they've established something, they can afford to like be a bit fancier with it, which was nice. But
Yeah. God, there was like the episode where the lady was being like the bullying episode where like didn't it like skimmed across the water and like flew like really high like some really like very funny kind of tricks with it.
yes.
Um yeah.
Oh yeah,
Um,
they got a second song.
Oh yeah, there was another song that is actually was at least from what we saw was exclusive to that episode. It wasn't a terrible song either. And then the later episodes they used pretty much the same soundtrack as they always did.
Look, it's expensive.
Yeah, like I think I actually mentioned it when we talked last time that I found a soundtrack for the show, and there's a lot of tracks on here, but I guess that's over the entirety of the series. So
To be fair, we only watched like 11 episodes out of how many did it run for? Like,
this would be 24. So we got a little bit under half.
yeah, so I'm sure a lot of it came in the back end because of, oh boy, actual plot happened.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, that was fun to point out. Anything else?
Not really.
Kind of going by that, is there what is your ranking that you're thinking of in regards to this? For reference, your ranking last time you were thinking the 8 to 9 range.
Yeah, I still say about the same. If anything, as I mentioned before, I personally would watch Soul Brain over this just because Soul Brain's got a bit more variety in it. But again, this is probably a way. Circumedic is probably one of the best ways if you're trying to introduce people to the genre who aren't going to get sold by the extravagance. You can at least get them with some of the more subtle, over the top nature that this show has.
All right. So in that case, that'll do it for you. So now let's bring on Max. Hello.
Hi.
So, watching. So you had not. I would say. So you have not had much experience with this before we did this whole. Like before we had started, you had not seen. You're not really. As I think we kind of mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah, as I said before, my only experience with any of this stuff was the oldies: Power Rangers, Superhuman Cyber Squad, Beetleborgs. That was pretty much my limit. This stuff here is more like the dig deep kind. Like it's like when you've watched Cowboy Bebop and Trigun, and now you're starting to watch anime with like a lot of Japanese words in the title. It's that big difference.
Yeah. Now that you watched those the episodes that we watched, what's kind of your gut ranking on this?
So, on the last episode, I went pretty hard on 14. I was very, very bored with what we had seen, and I didn't even finish all the episodes that was on tap. Having the opportunity to actually sit and watch more, it seems like this is a show, and you mentioned this while we were watching it. This is a show that doesn't start off strong. It takes some time for it to really find its identity and its footing. The first couple of episodes aren't a very good indicator of some of the stuff that's to come later. What we watched, I think we watched like 4 or 5 more episodes, maybe 6. I don't remember.
It was specifically episodes 7 to 11.
Okay. So those episodes had a little more of what I was expecting from the show. More yo-yo tricks, more interactions with the yo-yo, slightly more interesting plots and differences, with characters. Like the tone started to actually match, whereas like the first couple episodes it was trying to be very serious with a lot of goofy elements, and none of that worked really well. But these episodes started to finally actually mesh those two kind of concepts in a way where it actually give the show its voice and identity. That being said, it's still not something that I personally would seek out, and outside of what we did, I'm not going to watch it even any further, which is different from stuff like Moomin, where it's like, yeah, I could see myself kicking back with this and watching it on my own time. I would say this is not something up my particular alley. It's not bad, not as bad as I thought it was, but it doesn't rise up to a level where I'll actually seek it out. I know there's a lot more there's other series to it. There's other actresses and things like that. But overall, I'd say it's okay. It's okay for what it is, but it falls under the category of I'm probably not going to watch more of it.
All right. Yeah, that's perfectly I could definitely see that with this one, especially because I definitely know like the second series is probably the more known one, but no one really talks about the first one except for just maybe some references to certain things. But yeah, I know most people are really into 2. This one I can definitely see being kind of considered okay. So, is there like probably no more than three? Is there anything you want to talk about, just kind of general subjects, or
Um,
anything you want to point out?
Like I said, I thought the thing that stuck out to me most of this batch of episodes was that they put the yo-yo to proper use. It wasn't just she flings it near somebody and they cower in fear. She used it during combat. She used it to thwart specific things like attacks and things like that. She was able to disarm enemies with it. It actually became a tool that she used rather than just a gimmick that ends the episode. So it was refreshing to finally see them make use of the show's main gimmick. She's a delinquent, but she's got this badass yo-yo. So have her do yo-yo tricks, have her, trip enemies and knock weapons out of their hands. Hell, grab shit out of the air, do stuff like that. And they started to do more of that. And again, I mean, the acting is good. The acting's really good. I know we mentioned it in the first episode that the actress for this season is a model. And it's nice to see. I know there's the stereotype of models being, models. So it's nice to see that she's not just a model. She's very good at acting. She's very good at delivering her lines and selling. She sells her scenes very, very well. Even the really cheesy and the slightly cringe, she still manages to seem like she really belongs in that world. Whereas you could easily fall into the trap of, well, we've got a pretty face, and she does her thing, but it's not that, So it's nice to see that this didn't end up like that. It ended up with, a very strong actress leading the charge. And then you have all the different characters around her. The contact of hers plays a very nice, sort of goofy, but sincere kind of presence. He never like appears normally. It's just this weird presence that appears into her life in and out. And he did that just fantastically. Sold his scenes too. So there's a lot of good acting in it. And yeah, we watched the fan sub version because I'm guessing there aren't any official official subs, and other than the copious use of the word shit, it really was a decent sub, so that helped the viewing experience. Even if it didn't, I wouldn't hold it against the show because, if it's not an official dub, then it doesn't count towards my scoring of it. But it was nice to have a fan sub that wasn't edgy and shitty.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing. I actually kind of mentioned it in my little spiel. Japanese language doesn't really have concepts of, there are words that are profane, but it doesn't have swearing as much as English does. So tone of like it does use like shit comes up a lot, but it's the kind of thing, like there is the term in Japanese that's like kuso, which can be translated all the way to like dang to damn, or like just a general like it usually kuso is like shit, like, but it could be like crap, but it depends upon the subber whether or not they want to go like harsher or not. This one I feel is trying to go a little bit more edgier because you're dealing with like delinquents and all that, so it's likely that they probably would actually.
Yeah,
like
they wouldn't be, oh darn, oh shoot. They'd be like, no, shit.
Yeah. So that's probably why that comes up a lot. There's other things about the Japanese language that is hard to translate into English. But I feel like that's why you saw a lot more language that you would kind of expect for a TV show. It's part of the English translation and how you decide to localize it.
Yeah. And I guess the other thing to speak on is, even though it started to actually put in interesting villains, it didn't go far enough, I think. I think it was trying so hard to stay grounded to the whole school thing. But there are a lot of different things you can do with a school environment, especially with Japan, because Japan has a lot of myths that involve schools. There's lots of cryptids and folklore. There's lots of stuff that you can do with that. And I'm a little surprised that they didn't, put a little bit more of that. And maybe not completely all the way through, but, I would imagine at some point you'd have cultists in a school trying to resurrect some ancient god, and could easily do something like that with this. Because the first few episodes, they were playing way too safe. They were playing way too grounded, and it's like, this isn't a proper detective show. You've got to be a little more out there. So they did try to up it a bit with like having an archery person who is really fucking good at archery, that they can hit a person driving a car at like 40 miles an hour. I mean, stuff like that. That's what I wanted to see more of. Just this stuff that's maybe called a little bit grounded, but it's got some more upness to it. It's got a little more fantasy behind it. Because you got a lead character with a fucking badass yo-yo. You can't be too serious with that on deck. You just can't.
I can kind of see that. So yeah. I guess with that. So, what is your kind of just gut rank from this? Just a number. What you got from your what's your number?
Okay. Episode 1, I placed this down at, I believe, 14.
It was actually 13, but
13.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so 13. Going back over it, watching those last couple of episodes, and then getting a little chance to talk this out, I'm actually gonna say I'm around 10 and 11 at this point.
All right, 10 to 11. Okie dokie. All right. Well, with that, let us go ahead and move on to on the Torpo. Well, I can't Discord read my mind when I say at Torpo that I want to at you and not actually type out.
Oh no, man.
So yeah, you kind of have I would imagine that you like I think we talked about this last time, but you're not super into the Toku side, you're more into the anime side, but you're kind of have a somewhat by proxy familiarity with things
I
around
started
this.
watching O's recently, but yes, no, generally speaking, Toku I only ever really watch with other people. If I watch it at all, I don't watch it on my own.
Yeah.
And I'm not super familiar with it as a whole.
But you're kind of familiar with some of the concepts of it, though.
Yes, I've been exposed to Toku.
Yes. So
it was disgusting, and I wish I could take it back.
God. Yeah. So going into this as kind of, I guess, of the three the group here, you're probably the middle experience person. So what were your thoughts on this set of episodes?
They were definitely more interesting and fun, I would say. It felt like the show was starting to get a better idea of what it wanted to do. And so it tended to be a bit more goofy or fantastic. It was still relatively dark, tone-wise, even if every single episode got cleaned up very neatly.
Yeah. It definitely didn't pull well, I don't know if pull punches is the right word, but it definitely did not shy away from some aspects.
No. But overall, I thought it was pretty fun. I enjoyed them a bit more than I did the first ones, but I'm not gonna pretend my opinions changed too much of it.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess with that, is there like, do you have, I would say no more than 3, do you have any things you want to bring up?
There was a new song.
Yes. Yeah.
They had a new song.
Yeah. Yeah, they did.
It was great.
Yeah, I was like, I think I mentioned last time, I actually found the soundtrack for the show, and it's like, oh wow, there's a lot of tracks on here. It's nice to actually hear one of them. That's not the same 2 or 3 that they use.
It was a new song. It was great. I do like the soundtrack, but it was also nice hearing a new song.
Yeah, that was that was nice. Any other?
I do appreciate that they seem to do more with the yo-yo in these few episodes. This is also part of what I meant by like it felt like it was coming more into its own.
Yeah, like more in-depth yo-yo tricks and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, the yo-yo was taking a more active part than it did initially, which was nice. Even if it's still a shame that Saki, despite being called a Sukeban, doesn't beat that many people up physically.
Yeah. Yes. No using like not enough handbag beating in this for a proper
No.
Sukeban experience.
Or even just punching. She could punch more. Why doesn't she
Yeah.
punch more?
Well, when did like didn't she? Because there was the archery like at the very end where it's the girl that's trying to protect the teacher. That like there was like the fight that happened in the middle episode that like they were kind of like proved as equal, and then Saki just does a sweet front flip and just I forgot to punch her in the stomach, like
I think
really
he was
jobs the
punching her in
hell
the
out of her.
stomach. Yeah, she fucks her up.
Yeah.
Because the
Um,
teacher was watching, you see.
yeah. God. Yeah.
But no, it was pretty fun. I can't really think of anything else notable, like because it's a lot of it's still basically the a lot of the same stuff from the first half, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, some more interesting things, but still kind of pretty much the same stuff as
If
before.
you enjoyed the first half, you're gonna enjoy this. If you
Yeah.
didn't enjoy the first half, you're not gonna enjoy this.
Yeah. So gut reaction. What's your number?
Honestly, same as last time.
So that'd be an 8 to 9.
Yup, it has. Let's say 8. We'll say 8. I will
We'll
round
give
it
it-
up to 8.
All right. 8's good then. All right. So that's time for I actually I just realized I'll just do that. Because it's like, oh, what is my signal that everyone well, actually I guess I could just do this. There we go.
Yeah, it's pretty easy actually. Come to find out,
Yeah, it's just the thing of how am I going to do this.
it's great.
Anyway, so now that we've all had our little one-on-one discussions, just let's go over these 4 kind of overall kind of concepts in terms of how does Sukeban Deka. Now that especially we've seen not even just these set of 5 episodes that we watched this time, but we can just kind of probably talk about more of overall what we saw. So storytelling, things like characters, plot, themes, dialogue. Anyone have anything that like they want to specifically call out? Just kind of from what I've gathered, it's pretty much the same stuff as we kind of covered last time. The plots are probably more rounded than you would see in most things of the Toku branch, but going a little bit more into some harder topics. So yeah, did anyone have anything they wanted to bring up?
Not in particular, but yeah, it is very much a crime drama.
Yeah, that's what
Just
I would
with-
definitely say is don't go into this expecting colorful suits and such.
And monsters and over the top acrobatics. Yeah,
Yeah, you'll get like occasional like martial art style like flips occasionally, but it's not. This ain't Super Sentai. This isn't like Metal Heroes or Kamen Rider. It's much more of a grounded kind of series.
flavors of Toku, flavors.
Yeah. Yeah.
That happen to be in the same room as the Toku series.
Yeah. Well, considering that they're all Toei, that probably would not actually. That actually, literally, might be true. We don't.
I'm certain they've gone to some of the same spots to shoot on location.
Yeah. Didn't see. There was no quarry from the sets that we saw, but that's
I
not
did like
saying
the
that.
construction site. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh no, the quarry's there. I can sense it. It's just probably
It's a matter of when.
yes.
Yeah. All right. Since we don't really have much storytelling, does anyone have anything they want to say about the aesthetics of the show? That being things like art, music, set design, and etc. 2 of you mentioned that there was a new song.
There
that
was a
one
new
thing.
song.
And yeah, I don't think there was really any other notable thing about like the art design. Like it was interesting seeing a new song, but that's kind of it.
I
In
mean,
the sec-
there was some like I do think there was a lot of more like in terms of design at least. It seems they were allowed to try a bit more in terms of like fancier set. Well, not fan. They're allowed to embellish with the sets a bit more by this point
Yeah.
because they definitely were. The sets were a bit more colorful than they were in the earlier episodes.
Yeah.
I think they did good with what they had because I think given the theme of the show, I mean it's like doing a show that's set on the streets. You're not going to be able to do a lot with it. It's not going to be fantastic and super colorful, but if you can get it to look accurate, then I think that's a good trade-off. So while we didn't get like a variety of locations and things like that, what they did do looked accurate and felt like it was a genuine part of what was supposed to be happening. So it didn't feel out of place. So I think that's what I would add to that.
All right. So I guess if there weren't really any other comments on that, how about like general performance? Talking about casting, just the general acting. There really wasn't any voice acting, but just kind of was how like the performance wise, just kind of seemed like probably the same as last time. The actress for Saki was pretty good. The other actress, felt their acting was like all right.
Sure acted.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I gotta call out the archery murder episodes for just the whole, y'all really gonna do this?
Yeah.
Look, never bring a bow to a yo-yo fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the acting was spot on. I thought everybody fit into their roles nicely.
Yeah. It was perfectly cromulent.
Shut up.
Speaking of
How long have you been waiting
cromulence,
to use that one?
well, it's just the word of like, it's all right. Like everyone didn't like. There's nothing else to say. It's like they did what they needed to do. But speaking of that, general competency, editing, craft of episodes, like use of the 22 minutes or however long these were, kind of felt like, if anything, I kind of wonder if some of these episodes could use a little bit more time to kind of like if they had like 5 more minutes.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Some of these episodes need a bit more time to breathe.
Like, it's the thing I mentioned where, like, the archery episode, where they have a character that's, like, actually holding up in a fight with Saki up until when she gets caught in the act and then just gets jobbed. And it's kind of frustrating.
Another thing's too, like, this is supposed to be sort of a drama / partial slight mystery kind of thing to it. But what it does is it doesn't really lead the characters into the answer. It just feels like the answer sort of appears out of thin air a lot of the times. Like the information they get is not quite as concrete as it could be. So at the end of it, it feels like everything was just tenuously connected to one another.
I mean, during
cops.
the archery episode, I straight up called out the twist halfway through the episode.
Yeah.
I called it at the start of the episode, but also that was being stupid and shitty, but I was still correct.
Yeah.
No, but I called out the full twist.
Yes.
Including the student.
Yeah.
The only thing that we were kind of wondering what was going to happen was the episode, the modeling, whether or not it was going to be the case of, was it the student who killed the lady because she found out that she was pregnant?
Except I made a joke about that and ended up being right.
Except, well, not quite, because it was still the guy who did the actual murder, but at least I thought
I made a joke about that, like, also, like, midway through the episode, saying,
Okay.
actually, this murder's completely unrelated.
Yeah.
But at the same time, even though it seemed obvious to us, that's because we have decades of this stuff that we've watched. So we know the tropes, we know the patterns and the formulas.
For me, it's less the tropes and more that the show had a formula that, after watching as many episodes as we did, I was able to just pick apart what the answer to an episode would be because they tried to write around that formula.
Right. The problem in the episodes themselves is that the characters don't recognize those formulas. They're there on the ground floor trying to bumble their way through these stories. And I just feel that in the episodes themselves, there should have been more information that they uncover that leads them to the final conclusion, rather than it feeling like they sort of Deus Ex Machina'd into it. And that's how it came across to me.
it's kind of the thing that I was kind of thinking about it. Actually, speaking of use of length, because I watched a lot of Murder She Wrote and like Columbo and like dedicated mystery shows. But the thing with Sukeban Deka is one, it's not meant like I would not call it a mystery show. Like it's a
No, it's
kind of a
about
crime.
the drama.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's about the drama and it's about
Spectacle.
it's the yo-yo it's thing. So it's like you don't have that kind of like honed edge for the mystery part, which is why sometimes it feels like the mystery just kind of solves itself out of nowhere.
It doesn't help that you got 22 minutes to get through an entire mystery. There were no
Yeah.
continuations between episodes. You had 22 minutes and that's it.
Yeah. So if anything, that's where that feels
It was a
little
limitation
weird.
it was a limitation of the formula, basically, of the medium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can bring it back to Nick Arcade. Nick Arcade couldn't fully realize what it wanted to be because it only had 20 something minutes to work with. And Sukeban Deka falls under the same thing. It just doesn't get enough time to percolate and get its ideas together.
Yeah, I can yes. In now that yes.
Now, this does
Yeah.
bring an interesting thought to my mind of just wondering how many of these like stories are adapted from the manga itself, or just we need to pad out 24 episodes. Here, let's go.
From what I could tell, it's like none.
Really?
This is
At
all
least-
original?
I believe it is mostly original because there's some characters that appear in the manga that do not appear in the show. At least from what I could tell. Actually, never. Okay, I take that back. Lasting 24 episodes, the series adapted the first part of the manga and was relatively faithful to it, only changing minor parts. Okay, apparently I was wrong, but yes. So
Happens.
yeah, I
mean, how
thought
often
these
do you
were
read the
mostly
manga?
original. I mean, but this manga from the 70s, no, I have not seen it or I've not read it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. I think it's the part from like 2 and 3, I believe, are original.
Yeah, 2 and 3 I know are completely original because at that point they're like, well, this is popular enough for something else, and we're out
Yeah.
of manga, so
Yeah.
Also, at that point, for going into 2, they didn't have the blessing of the
Creator.
The writer.
creator,
Yeah.
And they also didn't get the same actress from the first. They had to. I don't know if they had to, or if
well,
they just chose to.
that's some reasons for the end of the series for that one.
Yeah. There's reasons why that happened, which I think they mostly wanted to have a new character, but also some other things going on. I believe I'm not 100% certain.
Yeah.
But yeah. I guess with that, did anyone have any other comments on like that? Because I think that kind of covers it for use of length. And, like,
that's it
corrupt.
for me.
TLDR, it didn't really use its length properly.
Well, no, the issue is its length is what stymied it. I'd argue.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
the
I'll cop to that. I'll cop.
yeah. Yes. Yeah. So I guess with that, now we've discussed that. Don't really have any trivia for this time because we kind of talked a lot about it last time. But yeah, interesting that this would go on to go into Sukeban Deka 2 where it gets more original, although it's also more where people probably say 2 tends to be the one that people know. Like if I've seen references to outside of Kill la Kill,
huge.
yeah. Also like almost double episodes, not quite double, but yeah. 42 instead of 24. So yeah, I guess we don't have any trivia. Let's go ahead and rank this. So we are going to rank this using our normal 1 to 21 scale, with 1 being absolute mastercraft and 21 being very bad and pretty much not worth even watching it ironically, with a few other side things. So this is the first time we're actually doing a ranking with this new system. So since you all gave me your rankings during our group discussions, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take your rankings as a kind of unit, and I'm going to give us a starting point. So in general, we kind of, for the most part, kind of hovered around the same range, with basically the overall range being from 8 to 11. And I am thinking because it's just in general more in here. Let's start at 9. Which in 9 we have Fern Gully the Last Rainforest, Flash Gordon, Golgo 13, Carlisle no Yabu, the first episode or first season of Mega Man, Phenomena, the Sonic OVA, Pirates of Dark Water, Tokyo Shirei Soul Brain, Tron, and East 2. Soul Brain is like the easiest comparison point.
I think Soul Brain was better.
I kind of, yeah, like there's some things I kind of like about Sukeban Deka. I kind of like the grounded nature of it, but Soul Brain is absolutely fun, so I can definitely see that.
I guess for me, it's like their Soul Brain and Sukeban Deka are about the same to me quality wise, but I would definitely prefer watching Soul Brain more. But it's like I would feel like if you were hard pressed to make me choose between one or two for like a watch, it's not. I wouldn't. Someone if someone asked me why I chose one, I would say that Soul Brain is flashier. That's why, not like a quality reason.
Yeah.
I'd also say that Soul Brain is a little more consistent. When it starts, it seems to already kind of know what it wants to do. Whereas with Sukeban Deka, it didn't feel like it quite knew where to what to dial it to, and it took a bunch of episodes before it finally was like, yeah, I got it right here.
We jumped around a lot
Yeah.
with Soul Brain.
Yeah, that's the thing with Soul Brain is how we watched that is because we did not watch that from 1 to 2 to 3. I picked and choose from that entire run
Yeah,
of like
that's
70
that's fair.
episodes.
yeah. 50,
so
50-ish episodes, not 70.
Well, yeah, but like it didn't get a quite, and it wasn't like the first half we did like the first half and like I jumped around quite a bit with those.
That's fair.
Whereas this we got a natural progression. Soul Brain I would almost imagine would have maybe not the exact same issues, but it definitely would probably have a similar curve because that's just you're trying a new show, so that's just how I would imagine a lot would do that. Maybe at a different like rates in order to get into your build, but it definitely would still have the build up.
I would almost promise you, Soul Brain would suffer from what I call the Sentai middle problem, in which a bunch of episodes happen but don't feel like they add anything to either an overarching plot or they just feel like these episodes are there.
But from that we definitely saw that even with Soul Brain. Although we kind of saw that with this a little bit as well.
Yes, but I would say that this at least, like, I want to make clear, say this at least feels like a less of an established issue because of the cops are there. It's clearly more of the cops are here. We're just holding us over your head to do these crimes forever kind of thing. Versus where there were clear established villains in Soul Brain that also could, because we watched it in the jumped around part, we kind of saw them get beat every now and then. But like there could be episodes where there are large gaps of like just feel like ooh, this episode is just there. But I'll talk more about this problem when you come to a Sentai.
Yeah.
I just think I guess the other thought I have. No, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say because I figure if we're taking a look at 9, we can also kind of we can take a look at this stuff. Well, let's talk about what we got at 10. If we're gonna talk about even potentially putting it lower. At 10, we got the OVA for the I don't even know, just the OVAs of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 3, Nickelodeon Guts, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and the Wizardry OVA.
See, I definitely enjoyed this more than those.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing. I think
Also, go on.
I think the base for this is 9.
I never got the chance to say my thoughts, but I enjoyed this more than Soul Brain, so fuck all y'all.
All right, yeah.
Soul Brain was fine, but I felt the writing of this was more enjoyable and a teensy bit more consistent.
Yeah.
I like shiny, flashy things.
I mean, the yo-yo kind of was flashy, but yes, not as
Not
much as
enough.
I don't know. I like the more grounded tone in general, but personal preference.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny because I actually liked JoJo's OVA more than I liked Sukeban.
Yeah, and I fucking hate Tron, so whatever.
Yeah, that's the fun thing of these always have a non-explicit but definitely like intended I forgot what the
Your
term
mileage
was.
may vary.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of compromising when we
Yes.
rank.
The error bit in these
Margin for error.
margin for error, yes.
Sometimes being forced to compromise.
Yes. I also might as well just also because I kind of thinking 9 for this because let's talk about the stuff we got at 8, which is Digimon the movie, Goku Midnight Eye, Labyrinth, Lupin the Third Secret of Mamo, Roller Games, Sweet Home, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Season 1. Some of those are not my general thing, but also I kind of feel like this is not quite an 8.
No, I enjoyed this more than I did Labyrinth.
Yeah, but what about Goku Midnight Eye or Digimon the movie?
Okay, Goku Midnight Eye is cheating because you know that I have a soft spot in my heart for that kind of trash.
See, honestly, I would say the most apt comparison would be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Season 1, and I would still say the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Season 1 blew Sukeban Deka out of the water.
I
So
will agree with that. I will agree
Yes.
with that.
I that's why there's some in here that I feel maybe if we discounted some of those
Re-ranking.
as a more for the 8, I don't feel it's quite 8. So I feel that this is a 9.
Yeah. Obviously, I am super biased towards Sweet Home, and I know the old Turtles cartoon, I think still holds up. And I mean, Lupin the Third, I think on its own is would be enough to be like not quite.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna put that at a 9. I don't think there's really any content that we needed to like make a note of.
Nope.
So is there anything we want to call out in music, or let's see, music, charm, cinematography, storytelling, action, and art?
something for charm, but I'm not sure what exactly. Like, what do we have for like campy goodness or something? Like that?
We
Yeah,
have 10.
Campy Charm.
Yeah,
Okay, then yeah.
campground.
Yeah,
Yep. So the
Well,
campiness.
Not really a whole lot in my opinion.
yeah.
Yeah. Actually, there's one thing for music I think we should put in, and that's the recycle.
Oh dear lord, yes.
Cycle. I would like to put a thumbs up for action because I actually really like the stuff that happened in that latter set of episodes.
But also there's the first half.
There's
It
the
is-
first. Okay. Shrug. Put a shrug in.
My issue is the action is actually not super exceptional in my opinion.
No.
Yeah, I would also agree. I don't think that there really should be a charm for that because I don't think it's
That's fair.
there's some kind of weird, but it's also
I think I was just so deeply underwhelmed by the first couple of episodes that the latter set of episodes actually got me excited because shit happened and was interesting.
yeah, I can definitely see that. Is there anything I want to call up for yay or nay? I don't. I
Fine.
kind of
Particularly.
Length for nay.
Yeah, let's go ahead and
Though on surprisingly the opposite end of the usual.
yeah. God, I was gonna say, do I have something for like painfully formulaic? Because I kind of feel like the formula almost hurt it.
Is there a
I don't
like
have
an E
one.
equals MC square?
You could argue recycled content would be that, but
Yeah.
You know what? I think that's actually not the bad idea. So I'm just gonna put the recycle thing there. Oh, that's not recycle.
But well, can you put this? I was gonna say like in terms of like action sequences in Toku, I want to just draw specifically to something. Can you put? I'm gonna put this in the chat, and also could you put this in the show notes because it's like I was just thinking discussion of like fight scenes in Toku for like good action choreography, and it's like I feel like I gotta bring up an example just to why I
Alright.
can't, like say give it to Sukeban Deka.
Okay.
This is from Machine Sentai Curate Major episode 28 for those other references.
Okay. And you're saying that you're arguing that there shouldn't be anything for action?
Yes, this is why I'm saying there shouldn't be because the scene I posted
Okay.
and
Let's see.
I put it the VX, so give it a second to load in.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead now and put in the show notes.
Oh God, yeah. I love me a good one-shot long take. Holy shit, yeah.
See, the problem is when I think of like Sentai, I just think of Today's Friday in California.
The Car Ranger. That's the one that was right after Zero Ranger, which is what we mostly know as Power Ranger Season 1.
Yeah,
God, it's so good.
it'll be app tomorrow. But anyway, okay. I have added that to the note in providing that my thing doesn't crack that if I save it now. Okay, good. There we go.
Sabe.
There we go. Okay, I think that's good for Sukeban Deka 1. There we are now back and we have put stuff on the board. So, with that, before we call it, Axe, is there anything you want to plug?
Yes, the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network and your local SPCA. Please adopt, don't shop.
All right, Carnival.
Your local mutual aid or bail fund.
Torpid.
Twitch.tv/torpidtypist and @torpidtypist on Twitter. And I would like to plug this hole in my gut from the arrow shot at me.
Yes. So next time we are shifting gears a little bit because we are going on we are taking something that originally was Japanese and making it American. Because it is finally a time for us to enter something that is not Toku. But, well, actually, technically, I think isn't Ultraman Toku?
Ultraman is the tech Toku.
That's right.
It's one of the big three.
Yeah, except for the thing is, because we are talking about
garbage,
so that we're not talking about an entire series of Ultraman. What we're doing instead is for our first entry of the Ultraman series, we are taking a look at Ultraman: The Adventure Begins, the Subiara cross Hanna-Barbera production that's known in Japan as Ultraman USA, a pilot that for what was to be a cartoon series that kind of just became a movie. That is an American take on Ultraman that is still canon. The USA Ultramen, the Ultra Lady show up. Yes, the Ultra People. Actually, I think Ultra People is technically the term.
An American Tale, Ultraman goes west.
Yes, there's a base in Mount Rushmore. It's a thing. I remember watching it when I was a child. Anyway, with that, thank you all for listening. If you would like to see the list in which we have ranked every single thing we've done for Media Delta, you can go to r3.ldp.life in your browser. If you would like to watch the sister show that determines what could show up on Media Delta, that's Retro Rank Rhapsody, you can watch it live on Twitch at twitch.tv/LoloToPuzzlo or on YouTube at youtube.ldp.life. If you would like to discuss this episode with others, please join our Discord server by going to discord.ldp.life in your browser, which should give you a link. Thank you again for listening.